Remember 2013? Remember the animated films that were released in that year? And remember what people thought of them. How were they reviewed critically? Do you guys remember? Well, let me just remind you, 2013 is considered to be one of the worst years of animated films. And if you watched a lot of them, you could see why. Well, there's no real reason why, but you can see that statement is true. Well, that's not entirely true. There were a couple of very good films. They were Despicable Me 2 and Frozen, both of which the music in the films is really, really good, and they are very good films. But other than that, there weren't all that many great films. In fact, the rest of them were just okay, but the bad ones were regarded as being really bad. And now I'm going to be talking about one of the really bad animated films of 2013. So yes, I'm talking about one of the films of 2013, there was an animated film of course, that wasn't regarded as being a very good movie. Nothing like Frozen or Despicable Me 2. Though, similar to both of them, it was also nominated for the Annie Award for Music. This film, other than its music, wasn't really praised at all. But I did check it out. I'll give you a clue in what it is, see if you could guess it. It's about Thanksgiving. So yes, the movie I'll be reviewing is Free Birds. So, was it as bad as everyone says? Was it just the silly time travel movie that everyone regards it as? Did it have the bad animation it's regarded to have? Or was it just a good film that is so underrated and should be far higher praised? And is it a guilty pleasure of mine? Watch this review to find out. So, yes, the movie is about, what do you think? Time traveling turkeys. Yes, you heard me right. Time traveling turkeys. Basically, two turkeys, Reggie and Jake, go back into the past to stop Thanksgiving from ever occurring because they don't want their own kind getting cooked up on the dinner plate. It's got a good premise, but however, it could have some more meaning to it. I feel like the start of the movie had a lot of good meaning to it, but then the meaning all lost it. Movies need good meanings and good lessons to it, and a reason to exist other than just to be funny, and it needs some more stuff to it. Comedy's good, but sometimes it gets to be a bit of an overload. The characters are definitely likeable enough. Reggie and Jake are very funny characters, and so are some of the other characters way back in 1621. The movie is also really funny. That's something that it needs to be, because it knows it's silly and it just works really well, the funny part of it. The voice acting of Owen Wilson, Amy Poehler and Woody Harrelson are top notch. But however, I do have some criticism. The animation is pretty dull and needs to be improved. For some of it, the background animation seems kind of lazy. It's just pretty bland. It needs a lot more detail to it. It feels like it's something out of the early 2000s, when animation was just developing and wasn't nearly as detailed. But however, this movie was made in 2013. I'd expect a lot more detail for 2013 than it delivers. And the colour palette is also very, very bland. The screenplay definitely needs revising. It's just a bit too basic and it gets a bit too silly at times. Also, the story is way too familiar. It is way too familiar to Aardman Animation's Chicken Run, which was released 13 years earlier. The movie could definitely get away with being called Chicken Run for Turkeys. Really, it's so similar. They're both trying to escape being eaten, and it's both about these talking animals. Also, Ginger and Rocky are extremely familiar to Reggie and Jenny in this movie, so it's clear that they did kind of copy it. However, the ending is completely unique to Chicken Run. It has its own original voice near the end, and the ending though is pretty ordinary, I must admit. It was just pretty an average ending. Luckily, however, Real Effects did come back with a better movie the next year. The Book of Life is considered to be a far better movie. I need to watch it, I haven't seen it yet. But however, Freebirds is a funny flick that I highly recommend you check out if you're in a good mood. It's silly, but I found it kind of fun. Another character I really like is the Time Machine, Steve. He's actually a pretty funny character. There was also a really funny dance sequence. It's really short though, but I found it extremely funny. So yes, it's got good jokes, but is Freebirds a good movie? What am I going to give it for a rating?